Hey there, Internet. Our Felix Finch here, and welcome to episode 19 of Underground Lucha Things, the Lucha Underground Retrospective, where somebody who has not been following the show for some reason for years, finally decides to follow the show and see some friends at work. But you know what? I'm not here by myself. Joining me, I've got all the way from the island of Hawaii, the one, the only Angie FN of Midcard Mana. Angie, how you doing?
I am good. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you very much. Is it the Kingdom of Hawaii, or is it no longer the Kingdom of Hawaii? Is it just the state of Hawaii?
We have not technically been the Kingdom of Hawaii in quite some time. There's a lot of history to unpack there, so I'll just leave it at that.
I'm sure it involves white people being dangerous, but we are here with episode 19, Grave Consequences. This is from March 18th of 2015, and we open up with yet the third match in the best of five series between Aerostar and Drago. And again, I think it's a really great idea to put these two together and really put the lucha into Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
Of course, there's action just all over the place, and it's Aerostar that ends up getting the win with a springboard splash where his body does the Lois Griffin, throw everything back meme, and for the win. So Aerostar leads the series 2-1, but
up to 2, yeah.
Yeah, but what do you think of this match? I get some cool rope stuff, obviously, flying all around.
I think just and not to make it sound in a bad way, but a lot of the same sort of chemistry that we've seen between them in their prior two matches in their best of five series. I mean, these are two guys that have pretty similar backgrounds as far as experience in Lucha Libre. So getting to see both of them match each other move for move, step for step, just good stuff. And especially with some of the other matches that we see in this specific episode, this is a very Lucha Libre match from bell to bell from both these guys.
Yeah, and again, it's a really cool way to feature these guys. Otherwise, and even though and it gives them a story, like a best of five series, that in itself is a story. It's just they're each trying to win that unique opportunity. And they announced, speaking of unique, later on tonight, apparently, our main event is Grave Consequences, which sounds like a casket match. It basically sounds like it's a casket match. And we get another Conan vignette where he's going wild on just some random thugs with his new steel cane, taking out challengers as though it's a chess game. In fact, they're cutting back and forth to a chess game. And they continue to do a phenomenal job with these Conan vignettes. And they reveal at the end that, he's been mentoring and talking to Prince Puma this whole time about chess. So, how'd you feel? I know you really love these vignettes. Does that love continue?
I specifically these vignettes of Conan. I know that the other ones that we've talked about before with Cage and Pentagon Jr., I haven't really been that into, but these, I don't know if it's just Conan knows how to produce something for him a little bit better, or if they just are going from a different perspective or different directors handling them, but these are hitting all the points where I think they need to be. And just Prince Puma, our buddy Ricochet, right, that we know him in the WWE, he has some of the most expressive eyes behind a lucha mask. And for not being able or allowed to say much with words, I think he does a lot of really good nonverbal physical reaction to a lot of what's going on, especially between him and Conan. So I really like it. And that just seeing the reveal that he's still mentoring Puma in this, I don't know, it tied it all together for me really well. I really liked it.
Yeah, and like you said before, though, it's kind of interesting because I don't know if Puma's just not allowed to speak or if he can't speak. I don't.
Yeah, it's unclear at this point, right? You know, does he not speak out of choice? Is he told not to speak? And just thinking in character, like
But
it is behind the scenes. Maybe he just feels he's not comfortable with doing promos yet in this character. So who knows?
yeah, and I mean, despite what you said, with his eyes, even though he don't speak, we know just what he's feeling, and we'll stop complaining. Well, he won't tell us because it hurts. No doubt. But the next match we get is the 3-on-1 elimination match. It's big. Wow. I am keeping this in. I just looked at my notes, and I actually used my phone to take the notes on this one, so I didn't notice the autocorrect. So Big Fuck takes on the Crew. It should be Big Ryck, but I think that's a hell of an autocorrect again.
Still works. Still works. I think Big Ryck would totally approve of that. 100%.
You know, I'm gonna message him a little later and tell him that because I think that's a great. Yeah, I'm just gonna drop that I actually know him, which, but yeah, I'm gonna message him a little later and tell him that. Oh, that's great. So, Big Ryck is in this 3-on-1 elimination match against the Crew, and it's, you know what I'm glad to see in this? The Crew does not attack one at a time. They actually attack him all at once. They're not doing that movie thing where they take turns and just wait around while he beats them up one by one. They are able to try to take advantage and even start trying to do some flowing moves, like chain themselves. But Ryck is able to eliminate Bale first, and then also eliminate Cortez Castro by clotheslining him with a kendo stick, which I think is pretty awesome. And Mr. Cisco sees what's happening, decides, I'm going to take the L, and starts making his way up.
I'm out.
Yeah, because there's no disqualifications, but there are countouts. Go figure how that works. So he just starts walking to the back, and a surprise sexy star appears, starts kicking him, kicking him down the stairs.
Kicks the shit out of him down the stairs. I loved that.
Yeah, and it was funny because, like, the thing is with if you've ever done any kind of stunt with stairs, like falling downstairs is tough because once you start, it's really, really tough. It's really tough to control yourself going downstairs. Yeah. But she kicks him all the way down, throws him into the ring. Big Ryck busts him open and gives him an Uranagi through. I say he did it through half the chair because the chair's standing up. He Uranagis Mr. Cisco through the chair. Just the front half of the chair bends down. The rest of the chair is still standing.
Right? Yeah.
Which gives it a great visual, but that is that match. How'd you feel about Big Fuck taking on the Crew?
Dude, I loved it, and I think you made a really good point about the fact that they took the opportunity to attack all at once and didn't do the whole typical action movie wait in line sort of deal, like how the promo video for Brian Cage they had them do. It was one dude at a time. It wasn't really like him fighting all these dudes at the same time. And I think that's why, to me, effectively in this story, Big Ryck comes out looking like a bigger threat to me than Brian Cage does. Because Big Ryck, even though now he's face, right, still took on all three of these dudes at once. We haven't really seen that from Cage at this point. So I think definitely Big Ryck's got the big man status on lock. And just love the I will say I've always loved Sexy Star. I think it's really unfortunate the sort of situation that unfolded with her and Rosemary, where I think it was a shoot arm bar that actually injured her, and it kind of really tanked her career in wrestling. It got her a really bad rap, but I loved Sexy Star and Lucha Underground, and rewatching, I still love Sexy Star and Lucha Underground as a chick, right? You know, it's something I relate to, definitely being the girl that's like, no, I'll fight them myself. I don't need a dude to have my back. I'll fight them myself. And that really resonates with me. And it's funny to me how you see two sides of that sort of character in Sexy Star as the face and then Ivelisse as the heel. So just this, I thought, showed a really cool side of Sexy Star, just really badass, unafraid, even when the odds are against her, which is very much her thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And yeah, also with Sexy Star, just the whole Batman face mask. I'm still trying to figure that one out, but
that face mask is dope.
It's dope, but it is totally Batman.
It is still dope.
And they announced the thing I've wanted. They say that next week there will be a bull rope match for the AAA championship between Patron and Tejano, while Cage will face Puma in a Boyle Heights street fight for the Lucha Underground Championship. So next week we get double championship matches. So I'm curious at this point whether or not we're gonna get like a full show of just those two matches, or if there's gonna be something sprinkled in there. But
who knows?
But that's not what's important right now. What's important right now is our main event, Fenix versus Mil Muertes in a Grave Consequences match, which is again a casket match, but it's themed for Day of the Dead. They come out with like some pallbearers, like dressed as people from the Day of the Dead. I'll be honest, I don't know. Like, pretty much, I know what's in Coco. that is as much as I know about Day of the Dead. Vampiro does take time to educate us during this match,
which I love. I love Vampiro always giving really good history with matches, especially when it's something that might be a little bit less familiar to wider audiences. I think he does an excellent job being both commentator and historian. So good.
Yeah, and this match starts off with like Fenix is coming down with Catrina, and Mil Muertes immediately dives out of the ring, just an immediate tope suicida, and he keeps the aggression up while Catrina just kind of stares him down. And the weapon creativity in this match is great. There's an awesome spot where Fenix goes to dive out of the ring, but Mil just lifts the coffin and Fenix thuds right.
He just right into it. Oh God.
Yeah, and Mil Muertes is showing brutality. He is ripping apart Fenix's mask throughout.
Oh yeah, no, I have that. Whoa, Fenix! Whoa, mask! Whoa, crimson mask! Whoa, Fenix!
Yeah,
in my notes, because that was brutal. Like, that was basically an unmasking.
Yeah, pretty much.
It held on by like a thread, and then his face was just by the end of it covered in blood, so that it was just that was his mask. That was helped cover his face was all the blood.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, it's like I've seen Fenix, and I still couldn't recognize him because he was just covered in blood the whole time. So it was a literal crimson mask. He gets taken to the top of the temple, and Mil tries to throw him off, but Fenix is able to save himself. And the crowd is just bloodthirsty. They're not rooting for Fenix. They're just rooting for the concept of a fight. And
yeah, just the carnage itself. There was no loyalty, really. I mean, you could hear some people cheering for Fenix, but people just wanted blood, man. Like, that was a hell of a match. Just watching not only all of that, but watching the more subtle interaction between Catrina as well as both those guys in the match, I thought was nice as well. Always keeping that sort of story thread in mind, I thought was really cool, because it's very easy to get wrapped up in this sort of death matchy kind of aesthetic once the blood starts flowing, and they still were able to also tie it together into story. So loved it. Loved everything about it.
Yeah, and like I said, Fenix was losing an uncomfortable amount of blood. The match was just an atrocious amount of brutality. Mil accidentally gets knocked into Catrina, which knocks her down, and Catrina decides I'm going to get up and open this coffin, and that allows Fenix to double stomp Mel into it. And she grabs the stone, licks it, gives a lick of death to the stone before throwing it into the coffin and shutting it.
Oh.
That was a really cool match to watch. And again, it was just, I'm not a big deathmatch guy, and that was uncomfortable to watch at times because of how heavily everything was done.
I am big in deathmatch. I really like deathmatches, and it was still uncomfortable for me. I think because also the mask got involved. That's what really unsettled me. Is not only did he go for blood, but he went for the mask, which as we both know and we've talked about several times in this recap, how important masks are in Lucha Libre. So just seeing that brutality against Fenix's mask, his very identity as a wrestler, that is what hit hard with me. And the crimson mask afterwards with all the blood on his face just really resonated even more, because that was his last way of covering his face and hiding his identity after basically having his mask almost completely ripped off his face, literally torn off his face.
Yeah, like I said, it was something to watch. I definitely would recommend going back and watching this episode. But before I tell you why, Angie, can we get your thoughts on today's show?
I liked this show a lot. I thought storyline wise, there were 3 very clear stories in this, with Drago versus Aerostar's best of 5. Aerostar getting up to 2 and having a win over Drago now, who is still at 1. The Conan storytelling with the video packages really feels like it's leading up to something big, like a big triumphant moment for Conan is kind of what it feels like to me over here. The Big Ryck versus the crew was very cathartic because, Big Ryck was finally able to stand tall against the crew and eliminate each of the 3 of them, even though it was 3-on-1. And then, of course, the continuing storyline between Fenix and Mel Muertes, Catrina clearly on the side of Fenix in this match, and just the amount of blood, sweat, and tears that you saw in this match, like unparalleled out of anything that we've seen so far in Lucha Underground. And I thought that it was a really good variety of sort of match type in this show.
Yeah, and overall, I really thought this show was pretty great. From, like I said, Aerostar and Drago, despite me not talking much about it, it was really fun. And again, I think it's a great demonstration of the lucha things that could be happening. Big Ryck and the crew, I thought it was well done. And even including Sexy Star a little bit in a way where she still participates, but isn't like a cheap appearance. And this main event, wow. My mind was blown. This was incredible. It was a sight to behold. And I definitely recommend, like, after you watch or listen to this, go to the YouTube video. There's a link in there to take you to the episode on Tubi. Go watch this episode. It is intense. But you know what, Angie? Let everybody know where they can find you.
All right. So I am part of 2 shows here in Hawaii. First one is our main show called Mid Card Mana, where we talk about a bunch of different themes sort of going on in wrestling. I just did a couple of prediction videos for the New Japan Cup last week and the week before. And then the second show is Valley Isle Collective's Ringside, where we focus a little bit on the sillier stuff in wrestling, where we ask each other the big important questions. What is your favorite finishing move and why is it the back rake? If you could take a move from Haku, why would it be a punch to the face? Stuff like that.
And I'm here on this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Frisco Flame. You could find me anywhere as Frisco Flame or R. Felix Finch. You can get my shirts at friscoflame.com. You can go to etsy.com/shop/friscoflame and get some pins, pops, masks even. And yeah, just to find this podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, go check this out on Spotify. Listen to it on the road. You can find us on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, whatever your favorite podcast app is. It probably has a search engine that will lead to us if you look up Underground Lucha Things. But anyway, for Angie, for myself, peace out, party peoples. I will see you next time.